Good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I'd like to start off by just thanking the elders for this opportunity to give my first devotional. So tonight we'll be reading from the book of Isaiah, chapter 30. And just for a little context, in this chapter, it starts off, God is warning the people of Israel, don't go back to Egypt, that Egypt won't be able to save them. He then moves to tell them about how they've rebelled against him and how the consequences of that rebellion. And then he makes a shift to tell them that despite all of that, he's going to have mercy on them. And that shift is very important, so let's keep that in mind as we look in verse 15 of that chapter. It says, "For thus saith the Lord God, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, and ye would not." Now there are two things that really stand out to me when I read this verse. First, notice how it says, "In returning and rest shall ye be saved." This is God calling his people back. And even though he just finished pointing out everything they've done wrong, and he continues to do that in this verse, he follows it with mercy, and he offers a way back. And I think that's something we can really learn from. When we're in conflict with someone, especially when we're in the right, it's very easy to focus only on what went wrong. But if we think about Proverbs chapter 15, verse 1, it tells us, "A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger." And if we look over here in Isaiah, God could have used hard words here, and he had every right to. But instead, he offers grace, and he opens that door for reconciliation, and we should do the same. When we need to repair our relationships with people, we need to make sure we're speaking in ways that build bridges rather than just putting up a wall. And the second thing that stands out to me is the part that says, "In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength." So once we've returned to God, we're told to be still, to rest, to trust, and to have confidence. That's where our strength is found. And if you want like a New Testament kind of where they're talking about the same principle, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1 tells us that our faith is the evidence of things unseen. And Matthew 17, verse 20 tells us that we have faith the size of a mustard seed that we can move mountains. Now, me personally, I haven't had a mountain pop up where I've had to like push it out of the way. But if you ever do, just don't panic. Just give me a call. I know a guy who can handle that. And that's the point that I kind of want to make is we don't need to really move mountains. What we do need is help with the small things. We need just small acts of faith. If you want to think of the boy who brought Jesus the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, in that passage, Jesus asked for food, and the boy brought him food, and 5,000 people were fed that day. Now, today, Jesus asked us to keep his commandments. And so let me just ask you this. How much greater are his commandments than of food? And that brings me to my final point, which just kind of builds off of this, is that we need small starts. Now, I just finished a semester of college, and I took a creative writing class, and all the stories I wrote started out the same way. They really sucked, and it was just a consistent theme. But throughout them, I went back through them, and I found something good, something that worked, and I just built off of that, and that's just how progress works, but more importantly, that's how God works with us. And so just a few examples of this. If you look at David, and I really love his story, his whole plan for defeating Goliath was, I'm going to go shoot a rock at this dude. And then what'd he do? He said a prayer, he had that small act of faith, and he shot a rock at the dude, and it worked. And for another example of just kind of how it can snowball, think of Jonathan in 1 Samuel chapter 14. And in this passage, Israel is at war with the Philistines, and right now Israel is just kind of hiding right now. And so Jonathan and his armor bearer just walk up to the enemy camp, and they start fighting, and eventually all of Israel joins in the fight, and they win. But as they're walking up, Jonathan says something that's just very incredible. He says, "It may be that the Lord will work for us, for there is no restraint to the Lord to save by many or by few." And that's the heart of it. God does not need some massive army to act. He just needs a willing heart. And I have another saying that I really quite like. It goes, "If God be for us, who can be against us?" So tonight, I want to encourage you. Return to the Lord if you've stepped away. If you're walking with him, be still, rest, and take those small steps of faith. And don't be afraid to start small. God does big things when we have small beginnings. Because when we return, God meets us with mercy. And when we rest, he becomes our strength. And when we step out in our faith, and even just small ways, God acts. So whether it's baptism, or if you've drifted and you need to come back, or if there's anything at all that this congregation can help you with, won't you please come forward as we stand and sing the song of invitation.